Let's get the editorial director of NewsX, Priya Sehgal. Priya, so now we've got 3 people to stick their necks out with numbers. Okay, now the elections are over. It's a very interesting election because a lot of interesting things have happened, but in some regards, it's also been a very quiet election. You know, when initially the voter list controversy started, one was thinking that this is going to become the hot topic and it's going to explode. But it's been a very, by many means, a very quiet election in Bihar. You know, I mean, Bihar is known for its very aggressive kind of politics, and I use the aggressive quote unquote. And at the same time, it's seen record turnouts, very high turnout. 65% is what we're looking in this phase as well. So, what do you think is going on?
No, Rishabh, it's been a very, very interesting election. I mean, interesting is a very mild word. And what you said, no aggression, I would say no polarization talk. You know, we didn't hear that. I didn't, you know, for once this election has been fought on issues. It's been fought on, you know, real, you know, Rahul Gandhi began with the SIR issue, then it was jobs, there was, you know, of course, the freebies for the women, but development issues, Modi came and spoke about development. Nitish Kumar is known for his track record as Sushashan Babu. The other side talked about youth and jobs for the young. So, you know, real issues on ground were being discussed, which I thought was very positive. The turnout, record turnout, 66.4 in the first, and now you're saying also it's crossed numbers. So, historic turnout. And usually, you know, we say, you know, my gut feeling would be to say that NDA is ahead. But, you know, there are a few things that are X factors. One is this record turnout. Conventionally, when we see a large turnout, it's usually anti-incumbency. But of course, in the Modi era, everything is turned around. So we can't really for sure say that. The migrant vote, let's not forget that 70 lakh migrants. There was Chhat Puja. We are told 2/3 estimates. You know, I heard Prashant Kishor talk that 2/3 of them have actually stayed back. Which way will they vote? I have a feeling they're not really going to be voting for this government because don't forget that long walk home that happened because of that COVID lockdown. A lot of migrants were caught. So there is a, you know, if there is any blame, that blame would go to the Modi government, which means to the NDA. So that would be a factor to be considered, which may work in Tejasvi's favor. Prashant Kishor is another X factor that has come into this election. While he may not win because, you know, this is his first election, but he could be a vote cutter.
Okay, $1 million question or perhaps a multi-crore rupee question. I say that with my tongue in my cheek. Prashant Kishor, if he was going to cut votes, whose votes was he going to cut?
I was just going to say that the whose votes he's going to cut is a big question because he's also, you know, he's fielded a lot of upper caste candidates. That, of course, is the BJP vote bank. But he's talking Tejasvi's language. He's talking youth. He's appealing to the young. So and he's given the maximum number of tickets to women. Although his talk against, you know, he's saying that he will lift prohibition. That hasn't gone down well with the women. But he has got a lot of, you know, tickets that have been gone to the women. So if you look at it, he is going to be cutting a lot of votes from all the sides. So his, again, and he's an unknown, so we don't know exactly where he will factor in. But there is that X factor also. And another factor in this election is there is a lot of goodwill for Nitish. I think somebody else mentioned that. I totally agree with that. In fact, the women vote development, Sushashan Babu, somebody referred to Paltu Babu, but he's also known as Sushashan Babu. So there is a lot of goodwill and he can go either way. You know, the Nitish factor is also a factor because he can go either way, wherever, because this is his last chance to be CM. If the BJP act stuff like they did in Madhya Pradesh, or they get an unknown like they did with Shivraj Chauhan, there's no control over Nitish Kumar. He's not a Shivraj Singh Chauhan. He's not going to sit down. He'll go to wherever he can. So he is also an X factor. I would put him in that basket.
Okay.
And the amount of money, Rishabh, one quick point, when you said multi-crore election, Prashant Kishor has spent the maximum money. We had, you know, people coming on a channel saying that this amount of money, even Bihar has not seen the amount of money Prashant Kishor has spent. This is
okay. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So I'll put that caveat out there. I don't know what is actually being spent. Maybe he'll come and tell us in the spirit of transparency. But then I have to ask you the question, then if he was the disrupting factor, then why did he choose to personally, you know, sort of not stay away, but, you know, not test his personal vote share?
No, he has explained that. He said my workers of that's what he is saying, of course, that my workers were saying that you'll be stuck to one constituency. But I have a feeling that even he realized, you know, to lose in his first election, all this talk of taking on Tejasvi Yadav is great. But Tejasvi Yadav is, come on, he is the CM face and he has the whole legacy of Lalu Yadav. He's been a deputy CM. It's going to be very difficult to defeat him in Raghugarh. So I think in his constituency. So I think keeping that in mind, I think Prashant Kishor did a realistic calculation miscalculation and changed his mind. That kind of headlines to lose so spectacularly in a first election wouldn't have gone in his favor. His view is, of course, his official reason for that is that, my workers said that you'll be stuck in one constituency, so don't contest. But I think it's because nobody's expecting Prashant. He only has 200 candidates. He doesn't have even candidates to fill all the seats. Nobody's expecting him to win, not even himself. He's given himself a very wide berth. He's saying Arsh pe or Farsh pe. Either I will get, below 25-0 or I'll cross 125. As a psephologist on my show joked, he said, itni badi wide margin from 0 to 125 is the wide berth he's given himself. So much for his psepology. So, look at what he's expecting. He's there to make his presence felt. That's it.
Personality wise, you got to give it to him. Okay, as he added a little bit of flavor to this contest, for sure. He's added flavor to this contest. Okay, now all right.
The Arvind Kejriwal of Bihar is what we are saying.
Okay, all right. I don't know if Arvind Kejriwal is going to appreciate the connotation. He's having a quiet time in politics in the last few weeks. Before I come to Sanjay Kapoor, let's hop across because we were discussing the turnout numbers became a very serious conversation. Have a look at this phase 2. Crossing 67%. Pia, my colleague, is standing by to break that down for us. Pia.
Absolutely, Rishabh. Let's take a look at the numbers. They're out, of course. Phase 2 overall numbers are 67. Meanwhile, phase 1 was, we remember, 65.08%. But let's also take a look at phase 2. The phase 2 statistic is 67.14. Remember, last time around in the election, a total of 57% voters had come out. In Valmiki Nagar constituency, 69.78% of the voters have come out and inked their finger. Meanwhile, in Sheohar, 67.31% of the people have come out. In Sitamarhi, 67.54 is the voting statistic up until now. In Supaul, 69.72% of the people have cast their vote. In Araria, 66.30% of the people have come out and inked their finger. In Purnia, 77.02% is the voter turnout recorded at 5 p.m. Motihari has recorded 70.12% of the voters who have come out and inked their finger. Back to you, Rishabh.
Okay, so 5 p.m. is the official time, but generally if you gotten into line at 5 p.m., they don't shut the door on your face. They let you cast your vote until everybody's done. So 67.14%, you can add a percentage of 2 to that. So, you will be closing to 70% voter turnout in the second phase. So, an average voter turnout of 67% across the two phases. Records have been set in many of these constituencies. On that thought, let me get Sanjay ji into this conversation. Sanjay ji, I mean, that itself is probably heartening news that people are coming out. There is some energy in the politics, even though the polarization has been a little bit quieter this time.
Wonderful to be on your panel again, Rishabh. It's been a long time. Yeah, this is so heartening that there are 67% people who stepped out to vote in this election. But the reasons are different. I mean, I'm told that many of them have come back because they don't want to be disenfranchised by the Sarpanch or whomsoever, because the buzz is that if you do not come and vote, especially the people who are migrants and coming from outside, especially the wives of the migrants, then things are going to get very horrible for them. So that is the reason there's been a bounce. Otherwise, there was very little reason till the time there was fear factor playing on their minds. That is one thing. Secondly, the mood is for change. This is the reason why we've been taught that people end up voting in big numbers, because they want to see the back of the government which is in power. So is it the BJP or is it Nitish Kumar that they want them gone, or is it something else that is playing on their mind? Very difficult to say at the moment.
But okay, so okay, but Sanjay ji, realistically, if we are to say that there is a segment of the population in Bihar that is sick and tired of the old system, okay, and they want to move on to the new, can they seriously look at development in Bihar at the scale at which it requires to be done, not in collaboration with what the BJP calls the double engine sarkar? That is not required. That Tejasvi can do it.
I mean, it's a very difficult thing to say whether Tejasvi alone can do it, but he'll have to collaborate with the likes of M.K. Stalin and others to somehow get the numbers, because the mood, especially if the center, would be very different if they lose. Because in the past, we've seen that the states that decided to vote against the BJP government have had to scrounge funds. The Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, for that matter, and the other states have to really struggle very hard to get funds. So I'm sure it will be difficult, but there is a desire amongst the young, at least, to ensure that this migration of people ends, because the kind of life they lead outside Bihar is really pitiable in the certain way, and they don't want to do that again. Secondly, they want to stay on and work here in Bihar, and that requires some effort, but still their lives would be so much better. So I think there is a desire for that kind of change to come in their lives, and if Nitish can, if Tejasvi can swing it, it'll be remarkable.
Okay,
It's
so
something to watch out for.
Tejasvi pulled off a surprise 5 years ago. I mean, you're talking about uh, peak, I won't say peak COVID, but the peak shock of COVID. Okay, Tejasvi for a long time was stuck in Delhi, and nobody was expecting him. First time he's really contesting or leading the contest on his own, and not under his father's shadow. So he pulled off a surprise. Then Nitish pulled off the next surprise. Then Nitish pulled off the surprise after that as well. Everybody knows what I'm alluding to. But he's hung on. Nitish Kumar has been the constant, Tejasvi has not. There were a lot of issues, personal issues between Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi at that point of time. It became personal. So on that account, do you think that Nitish Kumar now, he's had it. He's with the RJD, he's had it for sure. He has problems with the BJP, but with the RJD, he's had it. Sanjay ji.
So what I heard from Bihar, what I heard from Patna, from many bureaucrats, is that uh, they are also very unsure which way the wind is going to blow, which way the dice is going to roll, and many of them have gone neutral. They don't want to take sides because they think that there is a very strong possibility that the ASP can come to power. In fact, one bureaucrat sent me a message that look here, change is visible. Let's see whether Tejasvi squanders it, because he's done that in the past. Because every time he comes very close to coming to power, sometimes somehow the DMs and SPs or whoever is in power in various districts swing the match or swing the election in favor of the BJP, and that has been his undoing, because the upper caste out there can't really tolerate or stomach the return of Mr.
Okay.
Tejasvi Yadav. They think there will be a return of Jungle Raj, and things are going to really slip down to the very horrible path where the state will be mindless and absolutely go after people
Okay,
and
so
make things
we
very
asked the
difficult.
contrarian question because yes, Tejasvi surprised us last time around. Many people still think single largest party is Tejasvi. Tejasvi is to take not enough to form the government, but he can still do it. But Joyita, if you are suggesting that the large voter turnouts, the women in empowerment, youth wanting different, because if they are now seeing other parts of the country developing, the highways being built, the train stations, the airports, then they want to see that in Patna. They want to see that happen in Bihar. Will they practically, realistically think that an opposition government is going to deliver that, or will they buy into the concept of double engine?
I think the double engine concept is working very well on the ground, and whether we like it or not, Bihar, the polarization has happened in a very big way, in particularly in the second phase in Simanchal, because that is the area that has voted. Caste is also playing a major factor. So, while whatever we may be thinking in terms of Bihar has changed its DNA, not really, because you see, I mean, that is one state when it comes to caste and all, it does not change its DNA. And my information is that in Simanchal in particular, one of the reasons such a high turnout of voters is because Hindus are coming out in a very big way, and we know why. This is a minority dominated area. So, voting is happening totally along religious and caste lines in Bihar. Let's
So
not
you
forget
suspect
that.
it is actually polarized. That's what
Of course
it is that. Let's
It
not
is
eliminate that portion.
polarized. It is polarized. Caste has played a factor, double, but at the same time, if you are looking at it from Nitish Kumar's perspective, which way is it? See, it is already pretty clear by now that JDU is likely to do better than BJP. It is more or less certain that if they are coming back to power, Nitish will be chief minister. So, there is Nitish need not go and join hands with RJD when funds from the center are concerned, because you see that is, I mean, special status and all that is not going to happen, but when it comes to money, one of the reasons, that is one main glue. One of the glues, that is what happens when you have got a central government and you are part of that alliance. Money is one of the major factors. by joining hands with Tejashwi, he is not going to get any money. Is he going to do that to himself in his, when his he is almost over politically, but he still has a goodwill. So, the thing is that, that is not going to happen, and if BJP can assure him that yes, he will be chief minister, he will go with them.
Ladies and gentlemen, now populating at the bottom of your screens are all the polls out there. There are about 9 poll agencies that are operating. We are just putting out all their numbers. You can pick and choose. A lot more similar numbers this time around than what we've been used to seeing. Sometimes they go all over the place depending on the poll agency, but very similar numbers that are coming out. JVC is projecting between 135 and 150 for the NDA, 88 to 103 for the Mahagathbandhan, 0 to 1 for Prashant, and 3 to 6 for the others. So, they are expecting comfortable, reasonably comfortable NDA government. Matrix is expecting a pretty thumping win for the NDA with 147 to 167 of the seats, with only 70 to 80 for the Mahagathbandhan, and again nothing or 1 or 2 for the JSP, and 2 to 8 for the others. People's Insight is another poll agency that has published numbers. They are very close to the JVC, same 133 to 148, 87 to 102 for Mahagathbandhan, 0 to 2 for Prashant Kishor. Now, the average of the poll of polls is 138 to 155. It requires 122 seats to form a government in Bihar. So, comfortable victory for the NDA. That includes also, of course, Chirag. 82 to 98 for the Mahagathbandhan. So, well short. 0 to 2 for Prashant Kishor, and about 3 or 5 seats for the others. So, these are the figures that are out there. There are 5 other poll agencies whose numbers are yet to report, and we are just putting all of them out there and giving you an average at the bottom of your screens. Let's get reactions. Priya, so far very consistent. Everybody seems to be wanting to herd into similar kinds of logic rather than stick their neck out one way or the other and give us a twister in the exit poll at least.
Fair enough, Rishabh. I think everybody's playing it safe because you don't know what happens last minute in these elections. There've been too many surprises, which is why one reason I also didn't really get into expertometer. But I do think that the NDA does seem to have the edge because of Nitish Kumar this time, not so much for BJP. Though I guess Joyita has a point about the high turnout in Simanchal. That vote could have affected, and that goes in the BJP and the JDU's kitty in terms of seats. Congress, I'm going to be very, very interested to see the kind of numbers the Congress brings to the table, because Rahul Gandhi began the campaign, whether this whole, and he's still carrying on, he's sticking to his guns and talking about voter fraud, vote chori. He hasn't changed his narrative at all, while Tejasvi talks local issues, development, youth. So how will that work on the ground? I'm pretty curious, because the Congress doesn't have organization. Even in their seats, I'm told that they're fighting at least 50 of the seats they've got against JDU and BJP. So strong candidates. They haven't got Maji and they haven't got Chirag Paswan. Those are with Tejasvi. So Congress has a tough fight, weak organization, and I don't know about the narrative. They don't have really a local leader. They're trying to promote local faces, but they haven't yet got a strong local leader to convince. So they are piggybacking on Tejasvi Yadav. Will they pull him down? Because that will have a domino effect in UP also. Akhilesh Yadav is also watching this very closely. So I'm interested in these. The poll of polls, as you said, has played it safe, and I'm also going to go along with them in the sense that it is going to be an NDA.
Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a statistical, scientific fact. It is research, studied and written upon. It is called the wisdom of the crowd, that in a large enough sample size, the crowd tells you exactly what should be happening. The largest sampling size, of course, is the election itself. So the wisdom of the crowd in Bihar is currently in operation. Okay. Then comes the wisdom of exit polls. Now, when I began my career, many years ago, when I had darker hair, and I was told that the second term of the UPA was not going to happen, and it's going to be a hung parliament, and the stock markets and everything is going to collapse from these exit polls. I learned the bitter lesson that the exit polls are a best guess algorithmic guesstimation, despite the very hard working psephologists who actually work on them. This is not some tukkebazi going on. Some guys actually work on the field and try to get and put their algorithms in play. So a lot of energy goes into this, but in the end, it's a best guess. And generally, if you have 9 polling agencies, and some of them are playing it safe and being in the center, and some are sticking their necks out, one of them will be close. And then that person calls it victory and a species of their genius, and everybody else, of course, pretends that they never put out numbers at all. That's how it goes. So we take it with a pinch of salt, but there you have it on your screens. The average is giving the NDA 149, the Mahagathbandhan 88. So the larger the sample size, the closer you generally get to reducing the error margin and the reality of the picture. 149 would be a very comfortable, if not thumping, victory for the NDA in the circumstances. Let me get Sanjay Kapoor back in. Sanjay Kapoor, the exit polls are all currently in the same wind. None of them see the Mahagathbandhan coming to power, and primarily they see a failure of the allies, not of Tejasvi.
So this is something that the other day I was hearing the father of psephology, Mr. Dr. Pranay Roy, and he said that in the last 10 years, none of the exit polls have proved to be correct. And he pointed out Bihar especially, none at all. Whether by and large others, few more states have done well, but Bihar has been very difficult to predict. So I don't know whether this time things are going to be any different because I hear a lot of contrarian voices. I hear a lot of surveyors saying something else. There are a number of surveyors who do not have links with Delhi, and they conduct their work on the ground in Bihar itself. So you don't know whether they're reliable or not, but they make some noises which are very different. So we still got to see how the entire thing happens. Primarily because if the voter percentage is very high, and if everybody is saying that vote percentage high means anti-incumbency, then we have to see how it plays out. And this time around, as Priya has pointed out, nobody is talking about the Congress party amongst the panelists. And this time around, Congress seem to have worked hard. They have some kind of expert who've been watching, who made some very intelligent suggestions on how they can improve, how they can get the Mahagathbandhan to power.
Okay, now, so now you mentioned it, so let's pick it up that conversation. Joyita Basu, don't underestimate the Congress. Maybe, just maybe, they've done something that is, is going to click into place, and they are the ones who are going to surprise all these numbers.
Well, there's no chance. There's no chance. From whatever little bit we are hearing, and we also talk to people, the fact is that, I mean, there is major skepticism in terms of whether they are even going to touch 10. They will be lucky to get between 8 and 9 seats, and that is all Congress's own fault. First of all, when you start a campaign with some vote chori and all, okay, initially you think that is what is creating a lot of resonance. Then after a few days you realize there is no resonance for that, and then you abandon that campaign. And the thing is that then, because you see, people want to talk about local issues, but here is Rahul Gandhi talking about some kind of an abstract stuff which does not affect people on the ground at all. He cannot keep on playing the angry middle-aged man by now. So you see, and hope that it is when people are mostly concerned about, I mean, more or less Sushashan Babu or not, they have the delivery. From the things that have been promised to them, they are getting a delivery of that.
Okay.
So,
so no way. The Congress is not pulling out the surprise. Priya, who knows what has happened? Can they pull off a surprise? Can it not be simply that, we fought the good fight, as it has become the pattern for many years?
Yes, I am not as this thing as Joyita, but I do tend to agree with the overall narrative that yes, the Congress, I also don't give them much expectations out of them because of the organization on the ground. That's also missing. Rahul Gandhi, he always does this. He comes in and creates a big headline, big drama, and his rallies do get the crowds. Rahul, the issue also, I would say it's a very pertinent issue that he has raised. Vote chori is voter fraud or whatever you want to call it is something that is going to affect you, me, everyone. That lady Brazilian model whose vote has been used in Haryana so many times could have even affected an election in various constituencies. So yes, it is an issue, but the problem with Rahul is, I don't know, somewhere the connect is not happening. He's not being able to click or being able to sell it in the right way. So if you talk to the people on the ground, they're not talking vote theory. They're talking about the local issues. Maybe they want more local issues also to be there. So Rahul should have spoken that, and also then talked about the youth. That's something Rahul would have been good at, because in terms of new age jobs and trying to bring economy back, industry back to Bihar, he could have spoken about that, talked about Congress states, given examples. Unfortunately, there is also no Rahul model on ground that he can say, look, this is what I did for UP, for Methi, now I will do this in Bihar. So he doesn't have a good backstory to sell. Something is missing over there where Rahul is concerned. In terms of issues, I wouldn't knock down vote chori so much, because I do think it is a pertinent issue, and it has to be raised more often. But maybe, he also has to diversify his portfolio.
Okay, all right. So obviously we have to wait 72 hours. Everything else in the interim is speculation. I can tell you that from the NDA camp, they felt that it was closer 2-3 months ago, and they were a bit nervous, but they felt they very strongly picked it up towards the end, and they are feeling very comfortable. Nitish is also feeling very comfortable. The JDU guys are all comfortable. BJP guys are probably only slightly disappointed that they would have been hoping for a better show against the JDU vis-a-vis, because they would have wanted to be the senior partner. You've seen a government change in Maharashtra within the same alliance, because even though they were the existing larger party, they improved their position even further. So it became difficult for Eknath Shinde to justify his continuation as chief minister, and the BJP wants to be the senior partner, not the junior partner in a state. Let's be clear on that. So there might be a disappointment on that front. But Priya Sehgal, so if we saw the general elections where the BJP on its own and the alliance formed the government pretty comfortably, but could and should have done a little bit better. But then subsequently we've seen Haryana take place, we've seen Delhi take place, Maharashtra take place. If anybody was feeling that, oh, there is hope and the tide is turning, and the Modi mojo is no longer there, that's all finished in the past several months. Where does Bihar fit into that, regardless of how this goes?
Bihar has not had a BJP chief minister at all. It's in the Hindi heartland. It's one of the states in the Hindi cowbell where one, would expect the BJP to do well. BJP is doing well. It is making under Modi. They've closed the gap. They've even, got, as you said, did very well in the last elections. But will they want to go in for that kill, or just wait even in terms of numbers? Even if they get the numbers, I'm also agreeing with you. The feedback on the ground is JDU will do better than the BJP. But supposing even if the BJP is in a position to form, it can't take the risk with Nitish Kumar. There's a lot of goodwill for him. He will not be an Eknath Shinde and just sit at home. He will do business with Tejasvi, whoever, to keep that chief minister's chair. So BJP, and we know how Modi and Amit Shah love the first. They would love to have installed the first BJP CM. But I think where Nitish Kumar is concerned, they may have to wait if they get those numbers. So that is something they will have to keep in mind, really. But apart from that, I think the campaign, I really like in terms of, of course, Modi, when he announced the attack return after Pathankot, we will take, react, it was from Patna. So he did try, he brought in national issues. He tried to also, this kind of jingoism and all goes very well in terms, and it goes in the BJP's favor. But apart from that, more or less they've been talking on issues, which is what I really liked in the campaign, that there was not much except for a few stray comments on Ghuspatia, ye wo, but more or less the campaign was pretty balanced, and that's a good takeaway from Bihar.
Okay.
I agree, caste is a big issue, which is why the deputy CM candidate of the Mahagathbandhan, surprised, because that was a caste consideration more than anything else.
Okay, all right. So is it going to vanish in our lifetimes? Probably not. But does it diminish? Maybe. But there are also it's religion as well. Let's not count that out either. Regional loyalties also matter a lot. Let's not count that out also. Politics is what it is. Okay, it's not on objective rationality on development. But as I've already mentioned, there is something called the wisdom of the crowd. That's what democracies engender in terms of government formation, and that's what we're going to accept 72 hours later. But Joyita, where does this then leave Bihar? Let us assume for a minute that the exit polls hold true, and there is a return of a Nitish government in Bihar. It is a double engine Sarkar with the BJP in government, but not in the steering on the steering wheel. What changes in the next 5 years? Because whether you like Yogi Adityanath or not like Yogi Adityanath, UP is really upgrading itself on all sorts of numbers, parameters that make for a developed state. Bihar is yet not.
Rishabh, that is one area that actually might surprise you, because you see, I mean, according to the recent PM advisory, that Economic Advisory Council and all, when you look at the numbers, Bihar has done a better job of reducing poverty than both West Bengal and Uttar Pradesh. Bihar is also a state which is seeing slow but certain influx of industry coming in, which is not happening. It is happening in UP in a major way. It is not happening. These are three states.
It's not happening in Punjab. It's not happening in Bengal. Yes, correct.
It is not happening. It is happening in Bihar. And the thing is, so automatically that shows that Bihar is on the right path. Very slow, no doubt, but steady. But yes, does Bihar need, okay, we are not supposed to be partisan, or this is not a partisan statement. The thing is that you see, double engine is working for Bihar.
Okay. Sanjay ji, I'm going to put out all the numbers once in recalibration once again, but I want to put that question to you. What fundamentally changes? Let's say now the other side takes place, that Tejasvi gets a chance and he says, I'm not like my father and I'm going to do dramatically different things. What can he actually do? Because like I said, you have to give credit, as you have to give credit to the southern states, regardless of governments that they've had. Karnataka has been booming. Tamil Nadu is booming under MK Stalin, as it has boomed before that under Jayalalitha. Telangana is doing fine under a Congress government. The South has been the story. Kerala has been doing so well, where it's about to become a state which is not only has record education but has full education. So the South story has been India's development story. Yogi has tried to bring that to UP. Who brings it to Bihar?
So the only one who can bring it to Bihar is not Mr. Mr. Nitish Kumar, who's been around for the last many years. In fact, quietly he's been allowing BJP to pretty much run the affairs of the state. He's just a mukhota in some ways. But if change has to happen, it has to happen through a young man. It can't happen with the same idea, the same thing that has been seen for the last many years. Mr. Nitish Kumar has been CM for so many years and nothing has changed. So if you want to stop migration, you have to bring industry to Bihar. You have to ensure you create jobs, people don't leave. And if you hear the campaign narrative, the narrative of the campaign, time and again, Tejasvi Yadav has been saying that he was able to create jobs for a short time he was there. Gave away 5 lakh government jobs to people that he promised. And more such jobs will be awaiting those young men who have been standing in the queue for a long time. So I think the starting point you have to create jobs. Without that, it will be impossible to change the fortunes of the state, of the young people who have been running around trying to figure out how the things are going to work out for them in the coming. And they've been saying that Gujarat is the one which is stealing all the jobs, stealing all the factories, everything, and Bihar gets nothing except people who leave the state. So there is now some kind of comparison that people are drawing between Gujarat, to which the PM and the HM belong, and Bihar, where Mr. Nitish Kumar has been running the affairs for a long time.
Okay, all right. I mean, you're seeing, like I said, growth trajectories, and India is a happy story in that regard. You're seeing a growth trajectory in UP. You're seeing a growth trajectory that is taking place in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, in the southern states which have an excellent track record, in the northeastern states. You're seeing a growth trajectory taking place in Jammu and Kashmir, of course, on the basis of a lot of central external investment that is happening there. Where you are seeing it struggle, as Joyita has mentioned, is in Bengal, which is tragic, and you are seeing it struggle in Punjab, which is tragic. Industrial growth is struggling in the states that need it, and in Bihar, infrastructural growth is not where it could have been or should have been, and UP is you have to see it to believe it, how much has changed. Now whether that changes everything, no, but does it make a difference when when the airport changes, when the highways change, the access points change, when the city itself changes? For a lot of people from Bihar who travel outside now know the difference. They know what the rest of the country looks like, and they want that assuredly for back home as well. All right, let me take you to the facts and figures which are there on your screens. That's 5 of the exit polls over there. People's Pulse at the top, 135 to 159 for the NDA, 75 for 101, 122 being the halfway mark. JVC 135 to 150, 88 to 103 for the MGB, which means very similar. Maitreys is predicting a stronger performance for the NDA, 147 to 167. So a thumping victory and ease of government formation, with the Mahagathbandhan being reduced to less than 90 seats, perhaps as low as 70. Polstrat is also in the median range, 133 to 143 they say NDA, 93 to 102 they say MGB. Chanakya is giving the lowest figures here for the NDA, but even in that metric they expect the NDA government to be formed between 128 and 134 seats, with the Mahagathbandhan in triple digits or just over. As far as Prashant Kishor is concerned, nobody is predicting a lot for him. Could be a couple of seats that he gets if he is lucky. The median poll of polls average at the bottom is 143 for the NDA, 93 for the Mahagathbandhan. The majority of the seats of the Mahagathbandhan there coming from Tejasvi and the RJD. So this is where it stands. There are 9 polls in total. We put out 5 and the poll of polls. 2 more are coming up in just a couple of minutes. Before that, let me take touch base with Joyita. Joyita, so are we seeing now a pattern in the politics of Bihar which is telling you that the RJD, regardless of the dynastic change, is a force to be reckoned with?
Yes, of course. If RJD manages to emerge as the single largest party, then it's of course it's a fact that RJD is a potent electoral player. But you see the way Bihar's politics is designed, because ultimately, as I said, till date Bihar has not changed its DNA. So how much can the MY factor help propel RJD to maybe 70-75 seats? But to cross the majority mark on its own, RJD needs other castes, but which is not happening. Right now it is not happening, in spite of whatever talk is there of the youth vote and all, because you see ultimately at one level Bihar gets stuck, and that is the caste factor. So unless and until there is large scale migration, which had, I would say, some forward castes were moving towards RJD, but I think that has changed to a large extent. That is not, that may not be happening.
All right, okay. A dynastic transition in politics. Now, while India is full of political dynasties, it's not always a straightforward thing. So, Priya Sehgal, from a Karunanidhi to an MK Stalin, it's worked out okay. MK Stalin seems to be doing okay, so much so that he is now trying to promote his own son as the next generation in politics. So, that transition happened. You can argue that Farooq to Omar transition happened. Akhilesh has done very well in his transition, went through a whole school of drama, and he split away, and his father was upset, and then his uncle, and then we went through the full saga, but the transition did happen, and he's established himself post that transition. The same for Tejasvi. Now that this election is well and truly outside the shadow of Lalu Yadav, can he at least come and say that, you know, I'm the future political force in Bihar?
No, in fact, this is also a beaten passing moment for Bihar, because Nitish, this is his last election, so the era of Nitish and Lalu is over now. So the next election, and people are jostling and posturing for it. We see this is the election of the Gen Next in Bihar, Rishabh. We have Tejasvi, as you mentioned, we have Prashant Kishor also coming up. As you said, कि पहला election तो हारने के लिए लड़ते हैं, दूसरा हराने के लिए, and तीसरा जीतने के लिए. So today he's just a spoiler. Next election he may be a serious contender, and third election he may win. So basically Prashant Kishor is posturing, Chirag Paswan is posturing because he's seeing a vacuum in the NDA post Nitish Kumar. Samrat Chaudhary is seeing himself as the new BJP face. Congress is the only one that doesn't really have a serious candidate, though their PCC chief has been, coming up, but that's more on the caste card than on any other credentials. But we see a whole lot of Gen X coming up. Some are Dynasty's kids, some are on their own. In fact, I think apart from Prashant Kishore, the rest of both are Dynasty's kids in that sense. So it is an interesting legacy changing moment for Bihar also that's happening right now.
So if you're from Bihar or curiously wondering what is happening from other parts of the country, my colleague Pia standing by with the latest exit polls, medium, average and every single number that we can find out there on your screens. Pia.
Absolutely. Let's take the numbers forward. Right here are 7 polls. Let's go with the first. People's Pulse is predicting 135 to 159 seats for the NDA, 75 to 101 for the Mahagathbandhan, 0 to 5 seats for the Suraaj party, and about 2 to 8 seats for other independent candidates. Of course, they're giving a thumping victory to the NDA. JVC giving some similar numbers here as well, 135 to 150 for the NDA, 88 to 103 for the Mahagathbandhan, 0 to about 1 for Prashant Kishor, and 3 to 6 for other contestants. Metris has in fact increased the numbers for the NDA, giving 147 to 167, and Mahagathbandhan meanwhile they've given 70 to 90. For Suraaj party they've given 0 to 2, and for others it's 2 to 8. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the numbers that have been given by Polstrat. Polstrat is predicting 133 to 143 seats for the NDA, a comfortable victory. For Mahagathbandhan, they're predicting 93 to 102. They have not given any seat to Prashant Kishor. Meanwhile, they're predicting 2 to 9 for others. Chanakya too has come out with their numbers. They're predicting 128 to 134 for NDA. A comfortable victory, but closer to the halfway mark, which is 122. Mahagathbandhan, they've increased the tally as compared to the other figures up there. They're predicting 102 to 108. They've not given again any other seat to Suraaj party. 5 to 9 seats is what they're predicting for other candidates contesting. PMark has also put out their numbers. They've increased the statistics for the NDA. They're predicting 142 to 162, a comfortable win. Mahagathbandhan, they're stating that Mahagathbandhan might get about 80 to 98 seats. Suraaj party, they have in fact predicted 1 to 4 seats, and others about 0 to 3. People's Insight, the 7th poll that has come out, is predicting 133 to 148 seats for the NDA, about 87 to 102 for the Mahagathbandhan, about 0 to 2 seats for Prashant Kishor, and 3 to 6 seats for the others. And if you take out the average, the poll of polls numbers over here, it's of course predicting a comfortable victory for the NDA, the Mahagathbandhan at 93, and Suraaj party at 1, and others at 5. Of course, the magic number is 122.
Okay, Pia, thank you. My thanks also to Priya Saigal, Joyita Basu, Sanjay Kapoor for sharing their thoughts on this. We take a break. Back in a minute.